And gentlemen, to the English broadcaster for the Chinese LPL. I'm, of course, Atlas, and this is Papa Smithy, and we're here for our second game between Starhorn Royal Club and Gamtee. And Gamtee just fell apart at the end of that match.
Absolutely. It felt like Gamtee's comp really was muddied in terms of what they wanted to do. The LeBlanc was massive that game.
Yeah.
It cannot be overstated just how strong Leo was. But you never really felt it in the team fights just because they died to all the AoE damage. And, of course, we're really fast in this game. The Rumble Band coming out once again. They got the Jarvan first pick, but it doesn't feel like they got the benefit of that Jarvan pick compared to the Gnar Janna we saw on the other side.
And Gnar, again, has escaped banning thus far. Only one last opening. And Royal Club could potentially lock that one away first. But Rek'Sai is off the board, of course. Lysandra gone as well. Kassadin removed from Khorne. That guy will pick that at any point in this game because he is terrifying on that champion. It's only Jarvan that's really been a difference in ban. So Thresh escaping the ban list and Jarvan going to be the replacement here, of course, with our teams swapping sides. And let me know, with only 2 seconds to go, Rengar's going to be the ban. Kola could just first pick Gnar.
It could come through once again, and it just happens so often.
Going to be Janna.
The Janna priority, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, they don't have Jarvan on the board, but there's only a few champions in League of Legends, probably the likes of Kassadin and Lysandra, that Janna has trouble peeling away. They're both banned here, so of course, picking that Janna says, I've got the Queen of Disengage, come at me.
Yep, and not going to be taken away from Kola this time, so not going to be on that champion again. Danger going to take away the Lee Sin as well. You're going to force a sort of lower tier jungler from Insect. Was hovering the Olaf for a second there, bit of a shout out.
We did see, yeah, exactly, we saw a winning Olaf in the NALCS, so of course anything possible right there, but we try not to comment too much on these champion hovers as we get some pretty spicy picks coming through.
Yeah, we certainly do. Khorne in a bit of a more standard Sivir pick up here. Going to be going over to HYY. Wanted to take away that sort of top priority AD carry. As Insect just continues to cycle. He's just going to just show us his champion pool as he hovers over champions. But it's going to be the Kazakhs locked in here. So has seemed to be one of those sort of still staying up there as far as jungler choices are concerned. And we'll see whether this one is going to work because we've seen it to not too much success when it's come through in the past.
No, after the last set of nerfs, Kazakhs has really started to struggle, not being able to get quite the resets he wants to get out coming there. I do like this hover by Tail though. We saw deft by a wonderful Jinx in response to a Sivir in a series yesterday.
Yeah.
Jinx is one of those champions that's kind of fallen away despite being really damn strong if she can go unimpeded. It's all about getting that first kill, getting excited, that's what she's all about, and then the kills start rolling. So wonderful to see Jinx locked in here. Jinx Thresh, it gives a bit of defense to the all-out attack that Jinx is known for.
Yeah, and the picks coming through thick and fast here for Royal Club. The instant lock-in of that Aurelia into Let Me's Gnar, and it's going to be Xerath for Khorne yet again. Very comfortable on that champion, was doing a lot of work in these fights, really setting them up with a whole lot of poke from those Arcano Pulses, and he was on point with that ultimate too, sniping out Tail in that backline. But against Jinx now, I mean, if he can get excited and get moving around, there's not really much Xerath can do.
But you do have to feel, if you look down this comp from Starhorn Royal Club here, you have both the artillery, which of course Xerath will provide in the fight, wanting to kill off that Jinx, of course, but they also have the battering ram in Aurelia. Once Aurelia gets launched in there with the On the Hunt, of course, has that passive tenacity right there, Jinx is going to have a lot of trouble with no escape, as a no escape AD carry. I mean, I'm not even sure if the Lantern will be enough to peel away this combination of long range artillery and the battering ram of Aurelia.
Yeah, and it seems like Leo only really ever wants to play either LeBlanc or Fizz, and going to get the Fizz this time. That's the decision that he's going to make, picking that one into Khorne Xerath and see whether he can playfully trick himself around these fights, because if a Fizz gets going, we know that he can hard carry games.
I mean, it's a really painful lane matchup for Xerath, just because if that fish ever gets hit, you know that Xerath is going to perish right there.
Yep.
But in the late game, I do worry for Gamtee, just because if there ever gets to a situation where Starhorn Royal Club are in the ascendancy or fighting around an objective, they have so much long-range poke coming out of that Xerath, and they kind of have a team that's going to catch that poke. And they don't really have a lot of options for engage. It might have to be the Thresh engage right there. Obviously, if Gnar manages to get a really good flank, that could be an option right there. Yep. But a lot relies on the Fizz getting picks, and that's always difficult. Of course, we saw Pawn do a wonderful job on that Fizz in terms of initiating. It's possible. But if he gets behind in lane, I worry for Gamtee.
Yeah, we'll see whether he can make it work, of course. Getting that sort of bounce into crush combo there with the Gnar, trying to get the the transformation as you're jumping over your opponent, that might be a way in, but it's a very difficult thing to time because, of course, you have to be one of these really upper echelon NAR players like the Kohlers of the world that really know how to time it correctly and make these fights work in their favor. And we'll see whether Gamtee can do it to as great effect as Kohler managed to in the last matchup.
It's always situational. All these comps sometimes come together around terrain, around getting a vision control advantage. We've seen low damage threat comps just monopolize dragons and really be able to get towards that 5th dragon and win through that. There are many different win conditions in League of Legends. That's why it's kind of so exciting right now, is there's not just the poke comp poking out the enemy and picking up the base just through sheer poke, the Nidalee Spears we all remember of a year ago. It's not just about the Baron control team fighting. There's so many different flavors depending on your comp, and if you use it to their advantage, the win conditions, the varied games we're getting right here. We've seen some very decisive games. We've seen some very drawn-out games. But at least there's always a timer, whether it's the 5th dragon, whether it's the Baron, that allows the game to end.
Yeah, we'll see whether that can come through. And what do you think about Tail now being on this more of a hyper carry champion in Jinx? We've seen his Tristana working out fairly well, not quite being able to get to that point because, of course, his base was in shambles by the time he picked up that 4th item, which really allowed him to get into these fights. But on Jinx now has a bit more laning power, so we'll see what he can do. But let's get into the game. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are onto the Rift with Starhorn Royal Club against Gamtee yet again. And Gamtee trying to fight back for their second 1-1 tie in these best of 2 games. Of course, managing to pull out their first last night. We'll see whether they can get a repeat today. But Royal Club just looking fantastic.
And you were discussing Tail before the game. Some of these hyped AD carries have had a rough transition for the LPL this season. Of course, STYZ from WE has really been struggling to live up to that hyper carry reputation he came with. It'll be interesting to see whether Tail on a true hyper carry in Jinx, not quite vain with the tumbling, but once she gets excited, the amount of range damage you can do on that champion is insane. So it's almost like a gambit. It's almost saying, look, I can do this. I'm going to pick a champion that really gives me a chance to carry, not the Sivers or Corkis of the world. And what comes later is really what we can decide and judge her on.
Yeah, we'll see whether he manages to do well here in a lane matchup, which you've described as being very good for the Jinx. And as you can see, already pulling the trigger here is Sync Dream just going so aggressive.
The fun thing for Jinx is that she has the range advantage in rocket form and can often have the trading advantage in minigun form depending on her positioning in lane. So she has a lot of options. And whenever Jinx has options in the lane rather than having to pay back, that's when Jinx lanes get really exciting.
Beautiful use of that level 2 coming through here from Sync Dream as well. Knows that spell shield not going to be available. This could be one of the only opportunities to really capitalize on that death sentence. And Leo's taken a lot of damage here in the middle lane as well. Just eating those biscuits.
It'll be funny to track the Kha'Zix from the jungle here from Insect just because we've seen Kha'Zix fall away so massively.
Yeah.
In this 2015 season, we haven't seen a lot of Kha'Zix since the R nerf, since the amount of tankiness that they was able to pick up from the Void Assault really shone through. Still has potential as a reset assassin, but really struggling to find an item build and a playstyle that really benefits that champion. So Insect's been forced to go into a deeper part of his champion pool. What can he make work?
Yeah, but, I mean, Insect, when he was playing that Kha'Zix, was heralded as one of the best Kha'Zix players that we have seen when he was played a lot. We'll see whether he can sort of reach back into that time and really show us what this champion's capable of, because so far it's been a bit of a flop when it's been picked up.
Yeah, we'll have to judge him based on his play right here and how the season develops, of course. I mean, it was when, I believe it was Insect that came up with the R-Max first Kha'Zix and really debuted that to the world and showed everyone, all right, don't do as much damage, don't have as much wave clear, depending on if you used to max Q or W, but so tanky and so able to re-engage into team fights after going in that it became a new and viable playstyle and was, of course, eventually adjusted. So if anyone's going to have an idea of how to build this Kha'Zix in the current patch, it's going to be Insect.
Yep, and Leo trying to weather the storm of poke coming through from Korn here. Not doing so well, as we can see him taking an Arcano Pulse here in the middle side. And
with so much regen, I mean, even has gone into the utility tree here to pick up the Biscuit for that extra mana regen and health regen. For him to only be 2 CS behind a ranged opponent like Xerath, He's doing fine. He may have to be chugging potions, but he's doing fine.
Insect going to take the Scuttle Crab here as well. Make sure he gets some vision in the bottom side. And also you get a fair bit of money once you do pick up, of course, your jungle item in the Trailblazer here. So Insect wanting to get some farming done. And I really like this decision from Insect as well, trying to get ahead in this jungle, trying to make sure that he is relevant in levels so he can be that assassin and get those items that he needs in order to remove potentially HYY or Khorne from this map.
The Rangers Trailblazer pickup really does shout out to me that it's going to be the Q-Max Kha'Zix here. I guess it could, of course, be the Wings at level 1, but it's probably going to be all about getting that single target DPS. We're definitely not going to see a W-Max coming out, which, of course, would be a bit more for the jungle clear. It's going to be focusing on the damage, I'd have to think, coming from Insect. And given his full damage Rengar penchant, I guess it makes sense.
And you sort of need to have damage on Kha'Zix as well in order to be relevant, because you sort of have a slow on your W and the ability to get in with your E, but you really need to get those resets, and to do that you need to have some damage.
Yeah, of course, the reset potential also available with Tail right here. So a lot of interesting mechanics on display right here, but the laning phase, the first 6 minutes, it's been quiet, though we see some junglers around mid. Yeah,
and that counter gank to come through here from Insect. He's going to just jump straight over, and the isolated danger in a lot of danger, you might say, is just a fish going to be thrown out. Insect can have that one for his trouble, but Khorne not going to have to worry too much about that ultimate.
Returning to autos between the ranged and melee champion in mid lane. Looking down the bot lane here, Civ is able to open a bit of a CS advantage. It makes sense, of course, being able to easily push the wave into turret and trying to take advantage of the laning phase, but Jinx going even or better in a lane is a scary, scary place to be in if you're Starhorn Royal Club.
It really is, and actually Tail holding onto that health potion as well, so going to have a bit of safety if he does get poked out by, of course, that Ricochet or the Boomerang Blade. And Let Me having an okay time here in the top side of the map as well, but of course we consider that to be one of those lanes that's just going to want to farm it out.
Yeah, the teamfight impact of this lane won't be felt till the later parts of the game here. Cole is a very, very experienced Aurelia player. Let Me, I mean, he put in that star-making performance on Rumble against Vici, so we don't know his potential on Nah here, but it's a very strong champion pickup if we judge it by Cole's play in the last series. Yeah, and we know that Let Me can step up when he needs to as well, so we'll see whether he can be that player again and really do this for his team. But Mega Gnar transformation in the top lane, and HYY and Zero just going to try and hold this wave here, get all of it, and stop it from getting tanked by the turret. Very interesting for me to see this Morellonomicon first Fizz build start to gain popularity. It's a different flavor of Fizz. You don't have that single target burst, of course, that the Lichbane first Fizz has, but it does give you more access to wave clear. And of course, if you're able to use that Playful Trickster for wave clear, you can instant clear waves. Of course, it's just really risky. You don't have it up as an escape. It's your burst tool, but it's also your escape, so that's kind of how it's balanced. You can't do both at the same time. So having 20% less cooldown on that ability, maybe that's a really attractive stat compared to just the deletion potential of a Lichbane or even a DFG. Yeah, and we'll see whether he decides to go with the Lucidity boots here as well, because we've seen a lot of Fizz opting into that one, just getting that 40% CDR without blue buff, so having that all the time available. But Zero's going to get caught out. There's the Chum the Waters, and First Blood textbook pickup here by GT, and it's getting everyone going. Of course, danger now with First Blood. I love the three-man roam coming out there. It was a bit reminiscent of Samsung White in terms of just how on point they were in getting that D ward down. They were just so happy to see a very juicy Janna just face check that brush and die instantly. First Dragons picked up. Very nice snowball from Gamtee. Yeah, beautifully well played. Instantly transition over. Insect is going to be able to steal away this red buff. Smiting that one there as well. Not deciding to kill the little Cinderlings. Yeah, he is. So eventually going to isolate that Brambleback and take that one down. And now going to be backing here in the top lane as Leo tries to clear out this mid. So nice jungle steal. Going to go unnoticed here by Gamtee, but trading that for a dragon, you'll take it if you Gamtee. Yeah, very small victory for a kill and dragon trade right there. But you try and take any advantage you can. Once you have predictable vision, predictable pathing on the enemy jungler, Insect and all good junglers will try and take advantage of the little advantages they can get. Yeah, as we have a pink ward being put down very aggressively here by Royal Club. They want to make sure that they have control of these brushes. Make sure there's not going to be any sneaky Lee Sins getting in on this one. And
having a pink ward in that brush as well in a Sivir lane means that you can just play up and defend that one more effectively than you otherwise would. So I think it's a good opportunity to get a ward in there.
Absolutely. With that BF sword pickup, instant wave clear is available to HYY. Of course, Jinx with a few range, I believe 3 rocket autos can take out the back wave right here, but nowhere near the speed and availability of instant wave clear for a Jinx compared to a Sivir.
Yeah, most definitely. And that zap only going to be hitting one champion as well. I mean, one minion or champion. So not going to be as useful in that regard. 8 CS is the advantage here for HYY as he keeps shoving this one in. And Insect making his move towards this bottom side, but not for long.
Very interesting to see the pickups coming out of Let Me in the top lane here. Rushing down the Randuins completely. Like, no Phage, no Brutalizer. We've seen basically 1 damage item into tanky. I mean, in the previous game we saw pseudo 2 damage items. The Phage and the Hex Drinker being completed before the tanky items really started to come in for Cola. So the Randuin's Omens, of course, fantastically strong against Irelia, Kha'Zix, and Sivir. So I can understand the pickup, but it's a little bit less laning power. I'm not sure if Let Me will be able to win trades as effectively as if he picked up a Phage, just so he could have been able to orb walk, get a few more autos in, and have a bit more damage relevancy.
Yeah, although doing quite nicely there as Sync Dream just going to pick up the cannon creep for himself. Oh, it's going to go slightly wide as the death sentence, and the Boomerang Blade going to miss here as well. As Royal Club and GT just going at each other here on the bottom side of the map.
My expectation for the top lane is that going for this more teamfight orientated build might cause Let Me to suffer in trades to Cola, might actually open up a bit more farm for Irelia. But if they're able to capitalize on that teamfight build with the second dragon pickup and they can continue to control those objectives, it might be massive. We see Insect here sitting in the brush, waiting patiently, and see if Let Me overextends.
See whether he does, of course. Let Me building this Randuin's first up as well does sort of help him against sort of the duo of jungler top laner. So if these ganks do come in, it does leave him a little less susceptible. As we do have, there's the Equilibrium Strike coming through. Insect's just going to hang out in that brush though. Very patient is this Kha'Zix, and Let Me might actually fall for this one. But no, he's just going to play back.
The patience of both of them is actually quite admirable right there. Not eating any bait whatsoever. And as you say, although the health bar is at, what, 60 to 70%, deceptively tanky with all those early pickups is banal.
Yeah, and Insect, he's going to concede this one by the looks of things, heading back to base. And so intelligent play. We've seen this from a lot of the top laners here from China, just their spidey senses, knowing exactly when and when not to overextend. It's just beautiful to see as Hellengale going to come through onto tail here as well, but it's going to be the Lantern gank. There's the flash into the Flay there as well. The Monsoon to come through to get tail out of that one. Danger tries to come through, but unfortunately there are minions in the way, so can't quite land the Q.
Yeah, very aggressive flash coming out of Sync Dream right there, trying to get Danger just that much closer, trying to open up the time for the resonating strike, but could not happen there. No Sonic Wave able to be applied. But look at this. Insect's in position if they go for any sort of turret dive.
Yeah, really trying to be the counter-ganking Kha'Zix, and I really like that as well because, of course, has a lot of clean-up potential on this champion. So if there are any low-health members, he can really capitalize on it. But so far, Gamtee have just been playing really intelligently.
Just trying to see what he's... I believe he has evolved the Q right here. So as you point out there, he's going to be looking for the burst damage, but the trading continues in bot.
Yep, we managed to get the Flame Chompers down there as well, as Teo just going to switch between his weapons. And, of course, farm almost comparable here in the bottom side of the map, which is definitely going into Tail's favor on this Jinx. Wanting to try... Oh, actually, as we do have the kill coming down in the bottom side, Danger's here as well. Double teleports to come through at the same time. Insects here. Corns roam down, though, and Tail, you're in a lot of trouble. As Danger just going to get the heck out of that one. And Let Me cancelling that teleport, which was probably intelligent because you have to think that he would have died if he had to come down.
Yeah, 2 very quick kills coming up for Starhorn Royal Cup. They will take an objective here as well. Very unfortunate with that team fight-centric build. Let Me wasn't able to get a decisive teleport into the fight there.
No, didn't quite manage to get down as Leo now trying his best to capitalize on this roam from Korn by putting some damage on this mid turret, but you have to think that it probably will survive this particular onslaught.
No Sheen available here as well because of the early Morellonomicon, so slightly slower in the turret pushing is Leo.
Yeah, but is still going to be able to catch up in that farm. Has fallen a little bit behind, as you'd expect here against the Xerath.
They have a lot of damage on both top and mid turrets, so there probably will be that quick burst of about 260 global gold coming out very soon. But Gamtee, this is what they want. They want that second dragon. They feel like they've earned it. They don't have any teleports available for top laners, so in a 4v4, they're probably feeling pretty good.
Yep, and fantastic timing picking that one up as well. And if we have a look at Leo here just for 1 second, he has finished maxing that Playful Trickster just so that he can be tricky in these fights, but he's going for Urchin Strike as his second max. And what do you think about that?
You see it from time to time. It's an interesting decision. Basically, the flavor thought from most analysts is that if you're going to be building that Lich Bane early, this is Sync Dream taking a very big burst of damage there. If you're going to be going for the Lich Bane route, then you max Q second just so you have more abilities that proc that Sheen. But if you're going to go for maybe the Zhonya's next, obviously we can't tell with that amp turn pickup which way he's going to go, then you're going to go with the W second. So I guess if we look sheerly on this, what's being skilled up, it's probably going to be the Zhonya's second from this Fizz.
Yep, as we do have a lot of pressure coming through here into the mid lane as well, and just brute forcing Gamtee off this turret is Starhorn Royal Club, and they're just asserting their dominance on this map. Yet to get a dragon, but really playing this map well as Let Me might be in trouble here in the top side of the map, but he's very tanky now with that Randuin's completed.
He's very tanky, but it looks like they're aware that there are going to be more members rotating here. Probably not going to be a full-on turret dive here. Or the Mega Gnar has run out, so now deceptively squishy is Gnar. He's lanterned away, and this should be an objective for Starhorn Royal Club.
Yep, all 5 members actually in this top side of the map. Starhorn Royal Club capitalizing on their map movements and making sure that they get the objectives, but they've left Leo alone here on the bottom side, split pushing this one out, and it looks like he's going to be able to get this out of turret, so intelligent trade coming through. Gamtee just getting the obvious choice, and it's just going to be turret for turret, only with 1 member expended, as they're going to get some extra pressure in the mid as well.
Absolutely, a very even trade coming out there. I do have to wonder whether we will still see the Lich Bane here, just because they seem to be happy to place Leo in these off lanes, and being in a split push position as Fizz and not having a Sheen seems like a bit of a missed opportunity for the Fizz player.
Yeah, it does only have that amplifying tomb at the moment. We'll see what he does decide to pick up. Is going to get that Sheen. And that will be all.
Probably going to be quite delayed then in terms of the Zhonya's Hourglass, and not going to be able to be the primary initiator until much later in the game. We always see Pawn and other mid laners going for the Lich Bane straight into the Zhonya's just to give yourself that initiation flavor. Yeah. Hit that fish, go in there aggressively with Playful Trickster than Zhonya's. Not going to be open to Leo for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, has that Aether Wisp though, so going to be going towards that Lich Bane relatively quickly, only another 850 gold before he can really start working on, as you mentioned, that ever-important Zhonya's Hourglass to make him just so tricky in these fights. And Tail, if we have a look at the CS, only 8 behind, but of course a kill behind as well. But the money, not going too bad, only about 450 gold here for this Jinx, and as she scales into this game, you're going to become more and more relevant.
And of course has taken the role of a bit of an investment banker with the Avarice Blades, so
yep.
We'll be able to pick up a bit of gold to answer that lead that Civ has opened up on her. Fizz very aggressively positioned down the bottom here. We're not sure how he's going to capitalize on that, but another lull in the game. 2 dragons down, so that's a very early win for Gamtee. This 3rd dragon's the one that Starhorn Royal Club's going to want to really put a stop on the objective snowball that Gamtee have managed to open up in the first 18 minutes here so far.
Yeah, and we'll see whether... Do you think that capitalizing on Cola's Trinity Force Power Spike is going to be a good idea here? And if you were to do that, where would you aim?
Well, in general, capitalizing on a Power Spike is by definition a good thing.
Yeah.
But to answer your specific question, it looks like he might be preyed upon one way or the other.
Yeah, Playful Tricks are going to be dodged out of the way of there. Does just go and collect himself a Chum the Waters. The Ignite's down as well. Sonic Wave not going to land Leo. There's the Trickster. There's the Urchin Strike, and he's going to be able to finish off that kill. But it's a nice rotation from Royal Club. Beautiful Flame Chompers, but going to be flashed out of the way upon here as Let Me tries to get his way in, but doesn't have Mega Gnar available just yet. He's so far forward. HYY just getting free hits, and he's trying to build that rage, trying to become that Mega Gnar. Here it is. It's going to come through. HYY does finish off Thresh as Sync Dream is going to fall down. Let Me, he has that ultimate available. Leo's here as well. Instantly exhausted. A double stun from the Gnar. Boulder gets thrown straight into Janna as Korn gets caught by the zap, but they're not going to be able to capitalize on it. And here comes the creeps, and they're going to be able to take this turret as Playful Trickster gets to dodge out of the way of that ultimate from Xerath.
Yeah, 2 kills for 1 and an objective is a very big win for Gamtee as we look here. 1.5 minutes till the next Dragon comes down. They're going to need to keep getting these aggressive wards down just to open up that objective for them. But you saw how much damage Let Me was able to soak with his build right here. We said he might not be the best laner, as we see Insect being caught out. Probably not going to die right here, but Jinx is on the chase.
Yeah, Hype is there as well. Isn't going to quite get proc, but there it is, forcing the flash, actually, after those Flame Chompers came down to threaten the snare.
And we look down Insect's items. Of course, it's the full damage route. That's what we expect with that particular Korean import. That's the way he likes to play. He's going to have to be very, very particular with how he plays these team fights, especially if he can't hit level 11 before this Dragon comes up. Until he gets that jump reset, he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck. Luckily, he hits 11 just now. The wings come out. And he's going to look to try and compete with this objective. 38 seconds until Dragon comes up.
Yeah, I'm just going to back and try and get his way back into this one. May try and pick up some home guard boots, but no, just going to be the Ruby Crystal here to get himself a little bit more health for these fights. And Gamtee again with pretty decent positioning. Everyone sort of collapsing upon this Dragon area. Lichbane finished up from Leo as well, so going to have a lot more damage potential in these fights with that Morellonomicon as well as that item. And spawning in 10 seconds, and we've got an Aurelia in the top lane with teleport available. Danger clearing out wards, but you see they do have vision control around the Dragon.
It's worth noting here, you see the very aggressive wards being put down by Star and Royal Club. If they're able to get a flank on top of this Jinx, if Kohler can get anywhere near the Jinx, I really like this team fight for Star and Royal Club, but it doesn't matter. The Dragon's instantly taken down by Gamtee.
Yeah, beautiful use of the execution damage of Resonating Strike and that Smite in order to get rid of that objective, and Danger secures that one as well, so no Dragons at all for Starhorn Royal Club, as Transcendent Blades is going to be popped here from Kohler as he tries to get some damage down, and he's going to be able to take this top in a turret.
Yeah, it's a pretty good trade for Starhorn, all things considering, because that's the third Dragon down. Insect in a very aggressive position right here.
Yeah, Scrying Orb going to come through. It's going to spot them out. On the Hunt has been popped here as well, forcing the flash out of tail. Sync Dream, though, you are dead, mate, as Cole are going to come around and start this red buff, but the inner turret looks to be under fire here from Starhorn Royal Club, and they pulled the trigger and made it count straight away.
The aggressive 5-man stack from Starhorn Royal Club paid huge dividends right there. Great pick by Insect. They wanted to get tail, blew his flash, took out Thresh, and they get an inner turret for it. So a very nice trade for Starhorn Royal Club.
Yeah, beautifully played. And we were talking about Gamtee being brilliant in these late game these late game plans that they're going through, but at the moment it's been Starhorn Royal Club really making the rotations, making the picks happen, and it's working for them.
It is working for them. Of course, they do have the one objective snowball in Dragon that Gamtee can really take and keep in the bank right here.
True. That's
what they have to capitalize on. They've had excellent warding around the Dragons. So they've been able to take all three uncontested. You have to think with a top inner turret being down, the lane, of course, to the polar opposite of the Dragon, Star Royal Club are really going to start competing for this fourth Dragon.
And they sort of have to as well, because that can threaten that fifth Dragon, which is so dangerous. You want to have the buffer of at least one Dragon to contend with. And having that 6% extra stats is really starting to impede them, because we're getting later and later into this game where it's more relevant.
I mean, it's just so relevant for this Starhorn Royal Club team, because we've got a full damage jungler and, of course, the three regular carries on the team. So everyone here is going to be doing so much more damage with that first Dragon. They've taken down a turret to kind of give themselves a window into it. They probably have a rough time. I don't think they had clear vision on Dragon when it went down, but they really need to fight for this next Dragon.
Yes, they are putting pressure on this bottom side of the map, wanting to open this one up, but the cavalry has arrived from Gamtee. Insect waiting around the side, and haven't really seen him do too much. He's sort of been on the outskirts of these fights, picking up the assists, just biding his time before he can get in amongst it on this Kha'Zix. As we have Let Me just hanging around in this mid lane, just trying to push these waves out. Does have that teleport, so can start these fights, but of course, now that Mega Gnar form has been achieved, it is going to be a little while before he manages to charge that one again after transforming back. Tail, oh, copping the very end of that one. Going to have to use some fancy footwork. Does dodge out of the way of that last shot. As Leo comes around here as well, Urchin strikes himself to safety.
You were correct on the pickup of that 40% CDR as we see Let Me and Kohler fight in the top. Probably not going to be a kill right here, but Kohler's looking good.
Yeah, Let Me taking a lot of damage here is going to decide to back away from this one as the Gromp doesn't even want a piece of that, no?
But I kind of the issue with Gamtee right now is what is the identity of their team fight right here? They really need Jinx to go back and get. Oh, they're going in.
Oh, Danger going very deep. It's a nice position on the box. Going to slow Insect down here as well. Let Me wants to come in around the side. Doesn't have very much rage though, so it's going to be difficult for him to get in. The Boomerang not going to find anyone either as HYY is playing frontline Sivir. Not going to land his Boomerang either. It's difficult to hit Boomerangs. They go in a weird arc.
The reason why I use the word identity as Insect is another burst of damage right here is they do not have any true wave clear on the team whatsoever. They need the static shift minimum from Jinx to have respectable wave clear. But Let Me, he's transformed.
There's the Gnar coming through as well, and some beautiful stuns to come down. Cola right under that tower. HYY finishes off Let Me, but Leo trying to get in. HYY another kill though onto Leo straight after his kill, and Insect somehow alive.
And so no wave clear. And then when it comes to initiate, they're kind of looking for Fizz to go in, but no Zhonya's available. We commented on it before. Every member that dives in is getting instantly burst. They're isolated. They're on top of the Starhorn Royal Club carries, but Insect's doing so much relevant damage. Cola using the Equilibrium Strike. If one member after one member goes into a fight for Gamtee, they're all going to perish.
Yep, as we see the replay coming through, and let's see exactly what happened.
Yeah, so of course Starhorn Royal Club pushed very aggressively here. Let Me is very well managed. His rage goes in, hits a very nice ultimate right there. But look at this, the target selection is so impressive. Leo goes in, tries to get the assassination. He's assassinated by Insect. Insect's doing very relevant damage to these isolated diving carries. And no Zhonya's available. Single divers onto the Starhorn Royal Club team. That's not going to work.
No, as we have a minute on Dragon here as well, and you have to think that this is Starhorn Royal Club's chance to pick up those 6% stats. As we have Gamtee preparing themselves and trying to get through. But of course, 3 turrets to 5 now, and a 4,000 gold lead for Starhorn Royal Club. It's looking very reminiscent of the previous game, and Gamtee really need to change it up and really need to start getting some wins on the board for themselves in this game.
And while Jinx is at quite a good level of items for the time right here, she still hasn't got a kill. There still hasn't been that chance really to get excited here and show the power of that team fight AD carry. And they just really need to get that first kill instead of the single dives. Maybe just play a bit more defensively, let the enemy come to them and pick up that first kill and then snowball from there.
And she really needs to be able to use that Super Mega Death Rocket as well, which hasn't really been on display as they're wandering over a ward here as well. So Gamtee all grouped as 5 around this barren area. They're getting slow pushed in the top side of the map. The pings are on the inhibitor turret in the mid lane, and Gamtee, they need to try and rotate around here as the Scrying Orb spots them all out. They may be caught with their pants down here just a little bit as Let Me has half a rage bar. Is going to get hit there a little bit, but does have that Banshee's Veil in order to soak up that damage, and Gamtee do manage to rotate around in time, and it seems like intelligently they're respecting this Gnar pickup as a beautiful spell shield going to block out that Sonic Wave.
To be honest, right there, Gamtee were so exceedingly lucky in being able to re-rotate into the mid lane to counter that straight down the mid lane push from Starhorn Royal Club. They will be able to get the minimum right here, which is the Dragon, of course, but it could have been oh so much worse if they were able to push off that Gnar and get onto the inhibitor turret.
Yep, so now 3 dragons to 1. Starhorn Royal Club just picking up their first dragon as the minion wave has crashed into that top inhibitor turret. So a lot of gold sort of going to waste here. Let Me trying to pick up a bit of that as he heads over to this top side. But you can see Starhorn Royal Club now putting the pressure on, gathering the vision around this Baron. It looks to be where they're going to start fighting at this stage of the game. 28 minutes. It's about Baron time for our Chinese players.
But Starhorn Royal Club have to back out because look at the unbelievably large minion wave in the bottom lane. It's just an ungodly wave. It's probably about 4 waves who've come together here, and they don't have teleport on Cola. They cannot send Cola to defend that lane. So any pressure around Baron, these 3 pink wards, will realistically be cleared by Gamtee if they're able to understand that there's no way that they can maintain pressure around Baron given the massive amount of minion waves in the bot lane.
And especially not with the amount of money that's been funneled onto this Sivir as well. 5 of the 7 kills for their team. HYY really hard carrying this one as he's picking up now the red buff as well. But those wards, they're going to survive. And Gamtee just very scared at this point.
Yeah, Starhorn Royal Club have been able to successfully place 4 aggressive pink wards, and none of them have been able to be cleared by Gamtee right here. The first one just falls right here, but there's so much exclusive vision coming out for Starhorn Royal Club, especially for a team that was 3 dragons down just a moment ago. You have to feel like Gamtee, they're just playing a bit scared right here. They don't feel like they can take any aggressive advantages despite the fact that they have a pick comp. I mean, a pick comp with Fizz expected to be the initiator. If you're willing to let the other team strangle vision away from you, you're just going to be eating all the long-range poke coming out from this Xerath as the game goes on.
Yeah, you certainly are, and you need to have that decisive playstyle as well. You need to be out there getting the vision and out there getting those picks in order to get you into this game. But so far, sort of playing scared, and I mean, they're respecting Royal Club, and that's a good thing to do. You don't want to underestimate your opponent, but you also need to play with confidence, which is what they're not being able to do at this stage.
The only factor that we're not exploring is the fact that Fizz just went back and picked up the needlessly large rod. That's only 500 gold away from the Zhonya's. Maybe the Zhonya's is the go button for Gamtee. I have to hope that's what they're delaying the game for, because anything else would just not be acceptable.
Oh, and Danger going so deep into this one. Doesn't manage to get the kick back into his team onto Korn. Just kicks him into the wall there as the flash not even going to be used by the Xerath. So a little bit of an underwhelming engagement decision from Danger, but we do have Meganar coming through very quickly. Let Me has an opportunity to try and get in amongst this one as the Howling Gale just drifts by him.
The overall summoner trade there was Danger's flash for Cola's teleports. They do have a significant global advantage in pressure right now with the teleport, but are they willing to commit to Let Me going and pushing this top lane here? Of course, it is slow pushing towards the Gamtee lane. Or they're going to try and group. On the hunt's pumped.
Yeah, it's been popped here, and Danger's been caught out of position. He is definitely in danger as Leo is going to miss the Chum the Waters, lands onto 0, but doesn't manage to pick up anything. Let Me now may have been caught with his bounce down as well. This little Nah, unfortunately, in the wrong position as Insec is hunting him down, and this might spell the Baron with the jungler dead.
It is a risk to take Baron against 4 members who are well aware of what you're doing. Let Me actually has a fairly full rage bar here, so there is potential for disaster with this group team fight.
Yeah, he's at yellow at this point, does have those boomerangs coming through. We'll see whether he can get anything going down, but look at his health bar. It's going so low. He's actually going to die. HYY secures that kill. And Sync Dream coming through. Look at the damage from this Sivir. It's ridiculous. And they're just going straight back onto the Baron.
Completely deleted was Tail right there after Let Me. Credit to him. He understood what he needed to do. He wanted to go for that massive transformation ultimate, but he just never got there. He was spending so much time eyeing where he was going to try and hit the terrain that he died during that transformation performance. And Tail, he was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's a tale of woe at this stage as he's going to try and pick up that last Whisper to do some relevant damage to Cola, who almost has that Frozen Heart available, and it's going to be very difficult for the hard carry Jinx after that 20% attack speed is going to get removed from him.
Yeah, triple auto attacking coming out from Gamtee as well here, so of course, very smart pickup is the Frozen Heart right there. Of course, it gives her just that much more peel for HYY also with the lower cooldown, the Equilibrium Strike with that 20% CDR coming through. So a lot of factors looking great for Starhorn Royal Club right here. The Zhonya's will be completed. That's the kind of the smallest window that Gamtee could maybe exploit, is this first team fight right here where Starhorn Royal Club may not be aware that the Zhonya's is available.
Yep, Leo going for that Void Staff next item, has that Amplifying Tomb. In order to get that one started, it needs a whole 1,860 gold, though, before that one's going to be finished up. And Starhorn Royal Club, Sonic Wave to the back of Baron's head. It's going to make him a little bit angry at the people in front of him, as the posturing continues around the main objective that our Chinese players really want.
There is some decent defensive wards around Baron right here, so it's certainly not going to be a free Baron at this stage for Starhorn Royal Club, but you know that any team with Insec, such a decisive jungler, famous for all the innovative Baron strategies when he was back on the KT Bullets. So anything, if anyone is going to try for a sneaky Baron, it is going to be Insec right here. But we do see that Danger, he's in danger himself.
He really, really is. Let Me's around wanting to try and be that safeguard target for him, which is successful, but that's going to be the Dragon Rage on cooldown here as well, as Dragon going to be up in 2 seconds, and Insec, that's an isolated Dragon. He'd be able to take that one really quickly, especially with his full damage build, almost having his last Whisper completed with all of the armor shred from that Black Cleaver as well. He's going to be prepping targets for HYY.
And for a full damage jungler to have not died in a 33, almost 34-minute game is a real credit to just how much experience Insec has on that champ. He's able to test his limits very, very well here. And he's actually gone for the very fast Black Cleaver, an item that's kind of fallen away in competitive play here. One thing you can say about that Black Cleaver, if he gets a few stacks of that onto Let Me, Sivir's going to be shredding down the health on that Gnar, and we may never see the big Gnar ultimate that can win a team fight because of it.
And we saw it work perfectly here for Starhorn Royal Club when they just killed Let Me before he even got in position, before he even got that transformation off. Nice zap going to land on a HYY as we have... Oh, there's a Chum the Waters, but Cola's going to tank that one up. Descent's not going to find its markers. Playful Tricks, he gets a fair bit of damage down. Transcendent Blade's going to heal Cola back up to full as the Monsoon's going to be used for that disengage. A lot of respect to Let Me as he transforms into that Mega Gnar, and Starhorn Royal Club just happy to move on and fight another day.
Do see a bit more tussling in the mid lane off camera there, but nothing decisive. They used all their initiate right there between the Fizz ultimate and Thresh. Just didn't have a chance to hit a hook or whatever there. And now we see Danger once again in an aggressive position. They want to make something happen, but with those tools down, I'm not sure what they can do.
Yeah, and Gamtee just getting dictated to this game. We can see it's just Starhorn Royal Club going between that Inhibitor Turret and Baron. Inhibitor Turret, Baron, just making Gamtee answer them. And it's working out very much in their favor as Let Me forced to go down to this bottom lane because there's a huge wave and Royal Club are closing in.
Yeah, low engage, low wave clear assassination comps have such a potential to fall away in the late game, and that's what we're seeing from Gamtee right here. We still haven't seen the game-winning Fizz ult, not even a respectable Fizz ult on one of the carries right here. Leo, he's got some great items, but they just haven't been able to find those spots or abuse that vision situation to be able to pick up objectives after the very early 3-Dragon Snowball they could do.
Yeah, and that's the Frozen Heart now completed here from Cola. The Last Whisper is there for Tail, so going to have his 3-item spike now with a Vampiric Scepter as well, but his Jinx hasn't had any impact thus far into this game as Last Whisper gets completed for Insec as well, so it's a very, very strong Kha'Zix as far as that damage potential is concerned, and if he can jump on someone out of position, it's going to be very scary.
The good thing about Jinx, though, is once you get those 3 core damage items, so much of your power comes from your passive that, look, Jinx is almost level 16. She has both her summoners up. One strong team fight, and this 0-2-3 Jinx could easily be a 3, 4, 5 kill Jinx. So they just have to find that one fight, get that first kill, and from there, any team fight can be won by a Jinx comp.
We'll see whether that damage explosion is going to come through with that Get Excited, as Insect just going to narrowly avoid that Sonic Wave almost by accident here, as the vision is still available from Gamtee. We have some sneaky wards around the side as Danger going to dodge out of the way of that Boomerang and take a Lantern to safety. And
Sideways,
lots of pink wards. Look at this.
Yeah, 3 pink wards down. Actually do spot that aggressive last ward they had around the Baron Pit right there. Sidewaves again pushing well for Gamtee. We said they were a sidewave specialist, and they are showing that this game. And there's just no real way for Starhorn Royal Club to take a turret here, just because look down their lineup here. They have 2 ranged auto attackers of about 500 range or less. Very hard to siege and not confident to dive.
Yeah, Cola actually getting aggressive on his Sync Dream, goes so deep and just dies straight away. Super Mega Death Rocket still available. Chum the Waters, though, not going to find its mark as Exhaust comes down onto Leo. He's still at full health, and Cola's tanked up a lot of this damage. Gnar available as well. It's a nice, just the tip of the Boomerang Blade going to land onto this Fizz, but the engage hasn't really happened for real just yet. And that is just Sync Dream going way too deep.
And credit to Starhorn Royal Club. I thought maybe it was just a coincidence, but 1, 2, 3 fights in a row. Although Cola goes in, they're going to back out again. But 3 fights in a row, they've taken a pick and they've backed off because they're aware of that threat of the reset coming out of the Get Excited for Jinx. So much damage coming out of Danger.
Yeah, and Let Me now trying to clear out this wave with his Boomerangs. Tail standing at the back line, just forced to be here in order to clear these waves, because of course we were mentioning the fact that Jinx basically is their wave clear.
It's a very awkward position to have one true wave clear, and for that to be the ranged form wave clear of Jinx's rockets applying that splash damage from the static shiv. We saw last game how risky it is for the predictable wave clear of the team to be a shorter range AD carry potential, or just an AD carry in general. You need 2 sources of wave clear. They've gone all in on the assassination. It didn't work with the LeBlanc pick. They really lacked AoE in that fight. Fizz hasn't had a very similar flavor to the LeBlanc we saw last game.
He has, and Leo just hasn't been able to make the impact. Always been able to get a few kills under his belt and get a decent score happening, but otherwise not really working. But we do have the fight coming out. That's a beautiful Monsoon. It's going to break apart, in fact, Insect, which is a little bit unfortunate. Chum the Waters is going to come through as well, but again, not going to find its target.
I'm not sure if there's been an engage in this game where more than one member has fallen for Starhorn Royal Club, which against a Jinx team, especially a Jinx who's very damage relevant in terms of item pickups, is very surprising to me. To be so experienced at playing against a Jinx comp, that's just a feather in the hat for Starhorn Royal Club. They're playing this game very intelligently.
It really is. Speaking of intelligently, or maybe not intelligently, Letme's picked up a late-game Sunfire cape. I'm not sure whether that's just a sign of panic here and wanting to complete items, or whether that's just a mistake.
It might be a situation where Letme realizes he's gone for no damage items whatsoever in the early game. We've seen Phage Hex Drinker into tanky. We've seen Brutalizer into tanky. It gives him a bit of magic damage in a team fight, and it's a very low magic damage comp. You're probably not going to see an Aegis necessarily coming out from Starhorn Royal Club just because of how little magic damage there is apart from the single target fizz. So I can understand the pickup. Are there better item choices? Perhaps. Maybe just a Giant Spell into a Thornmail might have been slightly better item pickup right here. But Gamtee, they're looking to contest this dragon.
Yeah, this is going to be the 4th dragon for Gamtee. 3rd here for Starhorn Royal Club, as we do have the transformation imminent as Dragon's going down very low. Leo, though, is going to get deleted. There's Lasagna's going to get popped. Dragon secured by Insect as he just stands tall, gets his deletion here onto Leo as well. And that is one member dead, and this is what Starhorn Royal Club do. They take one, take an objective, and then move forward again.
And that's the mantra of good League of Legends Atlas. It's taking an objective after you get a pick. And even though they're against a pick comp, it's Starhorn Royal Club who've been the decisive, assertive team right here. Always gaining the minimum, but if you gain the minimum 3, 4, 5 times in a row, you're going to win a game.
Certainly are, and they have a minion wave in that top side of the map as well. And look at the damage through from HYY on this turret. Inhibitor turret going to be breached in the bottom side of the map. Inhibitor also going to fall down as Tail takes some poke in the backside. Letme as well, going to take the Lantern to safety, but bring an auto attack with him as Tail now trying to get the wave clear through. You can see these Arcano pulses all over the side. Look at HYY, he's got caught out. Super Mega Death Rocket going to go just wide, but it doesn't matter because Letme has Mega Gnar coming through. And Starhorn Royal Club forced to disengage because that's all their damage. Insect gets caught by the hook. There's the wallop, and he tries to leap out of the way, but I have to think that he's going to die here. Tail gets excited, his first kill of the game. And he's going to need some fancy footwork here. Only takes one of those right of the Arcane Bolts. And he's going to be fine. So Gamtee getting a decent trade back, but they lost an inhibitor in the bottom side of their base.
The teamfight potential of Gamtee's comp is there for all to see, but it just has never come together at the same time. We see they're going to attempt the Baron right here, but you're correct. The one time they finally get 2 members of the enemy team, they've traded their base inhibitor for it. They may get Baron in response right here. This game is definitely not out of the realm of possibility for Gamtee to win, but it will have to be extremely decisive shot calling and play around this Baron buff for them to get the win.
Yeah, and they did manage to get it here. A couple of wards going to get cleared out here, as well as the Dark Passage going to be taken to save Tail. So nice Baron pickup, decisive play coming through from Gamtee, and we'll see whether they can capitalize on it, but it might need to be used defensively here.
Wow, at this point, Jinx is sitting on 3,300 gold. It's going to definitely be a bloodthirst you'd have to think coming up here, unless she feels any immediate need of going to pick up a defensive item. I doubt it just because Jinx hasn't really been targeted in these fights. She's fallen twice, but both of those times was very early. If anything, she's kind of been not doing quite enough damage to get that first reset. Damage is not going to be a problem right now.
It certainly isn't, especially not after turning a Vampiric Scepter into a Bloodthirster. Of course, having that extra lifesteal, of course, you increase that by about 10% by picking up that item, and having that shield, so helpful against all of the poke coming through from Starhorn Royal Club. And we have another blasting one coming down from Leo. He's almost 6-item Fizz. And if he can hit these ultimates, which he has to start doing, he's going to be doing brutal damage once that death cap comes in.
One thing I'm very surprised to say about a game between 2 of the lower placed teams in the LPL so far this season, this has been a very strategic game.
Yeah.
When we finally saw that inhibitor fall down, that was the first time that Gamtee's side wave management kind of fell apart, because we saw there was a massive minion wave in the top lane crashing in as Starhorn Royal Club were taking that inhibitor. The rest of this game, the minion wave management has been impeccable.
And it's been beautiful on both sides as well. We have to say that Starhorn Royal Club know when they can fight because they look at the entire map and work out where they need to make their plays. But Descent's going to land at a 0. There's the zap coming through. Super Mega Death Rocket for the kill, but Sync Dream just gets eliminated. Danger going down solo. There's Chum the Waters. That's going to take out Insect. And Tail just needs to get into this fight and get some auto attacks down. Zap's going to come through. Cola trying to get onto Tail, but Let Me is just too much of a problem, and he's going to try and get through. That crit was huge from Tail. And Korn now, him and HYY, the last men standing as Leo and Tail here as well. For Gamtee, and it's going to be the mid lane AP carry and the AD carry in the bottom lanes that are going to survive.
I have no idea how that was not a decisive fight win for Gamtee. The only issue they had was the moment that Jinx got the reset over the side of the Raptor camp, she wasn't in position to do damage to the rest of the team members right there. Actually had to use her flash defensively when Aurelia flashed over with the fish over onto the Raptors right there. If Jinx's position was a bit more on point right there, they would have completely ripped through the Starhorn Royal Club team. At the moment, they'll have to take just an even exchange.
Yeah, and it probably could have used the Get Excited to run around the side, but it was just Cola's fantastic positioning in the front line of his team, meaning that he couldn't get there and auto-attack anyone else. And we can see this Aurelia is just starting to take no damage from anyone on Gamtee, because that Randuin's is almost finished on top of a Frozen Heart and a Spirit Visage.
And Jinx having to use her flash because of the Aurelia pressure right there is very critical, just because looking into this next fight, the no defensive item Jinx is going to have to compete against a Sivir with flash. We're going to see a replay of this fight. It's a wonderful engage onto Zero, who's basically instantly exploded here. But if you watch Tail at the bottom here, he's doing no damage right now as Insect comes in. They're able to get another outro kill on Insect right here. The Xerath ultimate is nice, but doesn't do a lot. But the issue right here is that Tail has to flash away. The last critical damage onto Cola here is unbelievable. Wait for this rocket coming very soon. Just about a 1,000 damage crit right there.
No problem.
And Tail's positioning right there, it was smart. It allowed Jinx, a no-escape carry, to get some team fight relevant damage in. It's just the reset there of the passive had basically no impact whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's going to be... Oh, there's the flash into the death sentence. A beautiful Zhonya's Hourglass going to beat out everything there. It's Cola's just going to be kicked to safety. Cola as well, trying to get the engage on, is going to kill Danger here at the beginning, and Sync Dream again going down solo. Oh my goodness, Leo, you're in trouble as HYY picks up that kill. Let Me now all on his own, and it's all falling apart here from Gamtee. It's a double kill now for HYY. Almost a triple, but it's going to be Cola picking up the ace, and what a beautiful play, but maybe a misplay from Gamtee.
And I thought in the previous game that Tail was caught in no man's land. It was the same story once again. They had to play so defensively with flash up. How many times have you seen a Jinx comp have Jinx be the final person dying in a team fight? It was unbelievable right there. Wonderful team fight play by Starhorn Royal Club. They're going to finish off the game right here. And a really surprisingly high-level League of Legends game played out right there. And Starhorn Royal Club take the series 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 again for Starhorn Royal Club. Unfortunately for Gamtee, unable to get their second win on the board, but did definitely play out, especially that second game, far better. And we saw their late game power. We saw their late game minion wave control, of course, as well. But Royal Club just knew how to react in these team fights so much more beautifully, and their team fighting comp was just better.
And hopefully this replay will kind of indicate what you're talking about here in terms of the really smart play of Starhorn Royal Club. This is the last fight here, of course, a very decisive fight. We wait for it to initiate right here. The pick onto Korn, the flash, the Zhonya's there was unbelievable. It negated all the damage, even the Super Mega Death Rocket here. And once Lee Sin died, instantly, you'll see here, Tail never really gets any damage in whatsoever. She's forced to run to the back right here. An Insect in the front line here. They're isolating turrets, isolating targets. They all fall. Even the very tanky Let Me has no answer to the damage coming out from the Starhorn Royal Club team. And Tail dies at the end, almost an afterthought, despite being a 4-item Jinx.
Yeah, 4-item Jinx. Apparently no match for a 4-item gigantic Cola on this Aurelia. And again, he's brilliant at that champion as well as the Gnar, and we've seen Cola really stepping up for Starhorn Royal Club because they don't have their star AD carry, and they've been failing just a little bit as far as reaching their potential as far as semi-finalists in Worlds last year is concerned. And we'll see whether he can continue that power. And when Name comes back into the team, this is going to be a monstrous Starhorn Royal Club.
It's worth noting that HYY, 10-2 in that game,
True,
did very respectable in the previous game. They're still kind of having the same sort of strategies, but you have to think when they level up that AD carry, when they get Name into the team, hopefully only a few weeks away for that to happen, the potential for Starhorn Royal Club to get back to Worlds this year, it's still possible.
It certainly is, but that is going to be it for this game. We will be back with more LPL action after this break. 2 more matches coming up for you guys. I cannot wait. We'll see you then.